Low is the same as high, because if you have one of the, if you know one of the poles of low, for example low, then you also know high. The lower you can go, the higher you also can go and know. It's the same with psychopaths who are sadists. They are also the opposite, because at some point they have jerked it off or robbed in the lower regions. So they have both sides in them. So then it's easy to know how to target the psychos, because what they do, the psychopaths, is to find the opposite pole and project it onto the opposite, what they want to be the opposite pole. And there has to be consent for it to be real, which means that when sadists are in relationships to the opposite pole, then they project it onto them, and then they place the opposite pole in what could be seen as victims if there's not consent. So for it to be real and for it to be possible, there has to be consent, which means it's not possible if there's not consent. So then it's still inside the sadists themselves. And that's what Aristotle said, that if you are to lead, then you have to know how to be led, and that means that you have to know also the very low existences or low people who are, for example, victims of corruption, and people who live with no money and who struggle to get by. The more you know about it, the better a leader. If not, you try to project it onto people, and you distance yourself from yourself afterwards, and then you look down upon what you used to be. Then you become the worst leader of them all, because you distance yourself from that part of yourself, which means you're not a whole person. You're only a little fragment of yourself. And why do people not like people who do not distance themselves from themselves? Because they are larger personalities than people who distance themselves from something that used to be their living conditions, that they did not integrate into their experiences and define themselves from those experiences. There's no integrity in something like that, which means that they then look down upon, or they want to control people who have integrated in themselves all the experiences, defined what the world they live in from those experiences, making it a part of who they are, because they have integrity. I have integrity. People do not like it because they distance themselves from what they used to be, and then they want it to project it onto people, control people, because they think they are too large personalities. And it's not good to, because then you're only a fragment of who you really are. A lot of people do it. They sell parts of themselves to gain, I don't know what, success at the expense of what they used to be, which means they bury parts of who they used to be, which is makes them fragments. There are so many parts of their own brains they cannot use, of who they are that are unaccessible to themselves. And it makes the world we live in smaller and less intellectually sane.